Right across the street from our place, there's this stretch of woods. Me and my buddies, we thought it'd be a kick to explore it. But even before we set foot inside, we all heard these voices, calling out, whispering our names. The thing is, not a single one of us had said a word yet. That alone sent a shiver down our spines. Still, curiosity got the better of us and we pressed on. Out of nowhere, a bone-chilling scream ripped through the air, like something out of a nightmare. We spun around, hearts pounding like crazy, and there was just blackness. But when we turned back, something caught our eyes. It was like a messed-up blend of a deer and a person, all twisted and wrong. We freaked, fear crawling up our backs, and we ran like our lives depended on it. I made sure I stuck to the back, trailing behind the others. My friends were up ahead, scrambling as fast as they could. Then, in the midst of all the chaos, I heard one of my buddies call out. I turned my head, and I saw it. A deer, or what used to be one. But it was a wreck, blood coating its mouth like something straight from a horror show. It looked battered, like it had been in some brutal scrap. I looked back at my friends and then back again. In an instant, the thing was gone, vanished into thin air, leaving behind an icy trail of pure, unadulterated dread that sent shivers down my spine. Thing happened to me with an ex almost 20 years ago. We were alone in the house, an old 3-story townhouse we shared with 2 others, snuggled up in the living room. She got up to go through to the kitchen to get a drink. As she opened the living room door to proceed down the hallway, she slammed it shut again quickly, and the color drained from her face. She crept over to me, shaking, telling me there was a man in our hallway who had just come out the kitchen. I have no doubt she saw what she saw. At the time, I thought it was for real that we were being burgled or something, so I ran about the house looking for him. Of course, there was nobody there. We had to leave the house afterwards for a while as we were both creeped out by it.
My uncle told me this story, his personal experience with his friend Ronnie one day. Ronnie was browsing on the internet. He read a story about a certain suspension bridge that was located close to his home. The website had plenty of pictures of the bridge and the surrounding area. The next time he met my uncle, he told him about the bridge. It was an old suspension bridge that crossed over a deep gorge. For some unknown reason, it was known as a spot that was notorious for suicides. Every year, at least 5 or 10 people would throw themselves off the bridge and died. Nobody could explain why. They said that the spot was haunted by the ghosts of all the people who had committed suicide there. When my uncle went home that evening, he decided that he had to check out the bridge. He desperately wanted to see a ghost. So, that very night, he set out for the mountains where the bridge was located. It took him about half an hour to get there. It was almost midnight when he arrived at the bridge, and there was not a single person around. It was dark and deathly quiet. The atmosphere was so spooky and ominous that it sent a chill down his spine. People just fool others about this place, he muttered to himself as he cautiously walked to the edge of the gorge and peered down into its depths. He began thinking about all of the people who had thrown themselves down into the inky blackness. It was so fascinating that he felt forced to tell his friend Ronnie about it, so he pulled out his cell phone to call him. However, since he was high up in the mountains, he couldn't get any reception. Looking around, my uncle noticed a phone booth standing nearby. He went inside, put some coins in the slot, and dialed Ronnie's number. "Hello, Ronnie." "Guess who's speaking?" he said. "I am at the same bridge that you told me earlier. Why don't you join me tonight? It's so pleasant and quiet here." "Why not?" replied Ronnie. "I have seen that place on Google. Wait there, I am coming. By the way, where are you calling from?" My uncle laughed. "Oh, my phone is out of range, so I'm calling from a payphone." His friend was confused. "Payphone? There is no payphone there. If there was any, I would have seen it on photos." "Bullshit. There is a payphone on the way to bridge. Now don't delay. There are people waiting outside for their turn." As soon as he said this, Ronnie shouted, "No, don't move from there. I know that place and I coming in 15 minutes. Just stay inside payphone." "What happened?" "Just promise me, you won't move from there. Whatever others say, just don't move from there." When his friend hung up, my uncle felt a wave of fear envelop him. He didn't put down his phone. The people outside booth were staring at him. The look in their eyes sent a shiver down his spine. 15 minutes later, when Ronnie arrived at the suspension bridge, He found his friend standing at the very edge of the bridge. He was holding his cell phone against his ear. He had no clue what he is doing. There was no phone booth and no line of people waiting to use the phone. If he had moved an inch, he would have fallen off the edge and died